Welcome, everyone, to the Dr. Blue Duck podcast. And today we're talking about Star Wars Day for gamers, what gamers do during Star Wars Day. So, tonight was a fun night so far. We just got our kids to bed. I was hanging out with my wife. We were talking earlier today. My sons and we went to Chili's to meet my parents for a nice little dinner. And my wife actually got to go to a encouragement group, which is just a girls group, part of our church, where they go and they encourage each other. So every once in a while I get the boys to myself, and tonight we decided to just grab dinner at Chili's because my older son, my 5-year-old now, he wanted some blue kids drink there at Chili's. So we had a great time hanging out there with my parents. Now I'm home and we're talking about Star Wars Day on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. And yeah, what do gaming dads do on Star Wars Day? Now, Star Wars to me is important. I grew up as a little boy. Imagine me, little tiny, blonde hair, super blue eyes. And my dad would take me to rent a VHS movie. Yeah, VHS. I remember back in the day in the 80s, it was between Beta and VHS, and we didn't know which one was going to be the big one. So it eventually ended up being VHS. Beta was just kind of, thrown to the wayside. And my parents would rent their movies and let me rent a cartoon. Well, one day I was a big boy and I decided I didn't want to rent a cartoon. I wanted to rent that Star Wars movie, A New Hope. I didn't know it was called A New Hope at the time. We just called it Star Wars. So they rented that for me and I would watch only parts of it because I was little, had a short attention span, but I loved it. There was something about like the perfect combination of medieval fantasy combines with sci-fi, with a Jedi Knight and a Princess Leia, and then you had your ships and you had the Force, your magic, and all of that together. It was so intriguing to a little boy. I remember running around the front yard with my make-believe lightsaber in hand. Back then, they didn't have like lightsabers you could just buy at the store. So you just had to use pretend ones. It was still a newer thing. Star Wars wasn't so commercialized as it is now. And I remember reenacting the scene in Return of the Jedi where Luke's about to jump into the pits with Jabba watching, and he turns to R2, kind of gives him the little signal, and then turns around, jumps, does like a flip, lands on the little ship, gets his sword, and just starts like slicing away all the enemies. So yeah, I don't know how many times I reenacted that scene and so many other scenes. So to me, Star Wars has always been special. And I'm sure to a lot of you, Star Wars has been special as well. Now, the original trilogy was pretty much the most influential in my life. I also liked Mandalorian. That was pretty cool. Now, you're going to hate me for this, but I also liked Solo and I even liked Rogue One. But the original trilogy was the most impressive to me. And the prequels and the post, I'm glad they happened. Okay. I'm glad they happened, but I just think there was potential for more. Okay. I don't want to be one of those Star Wars fans that says, like, I wish they never existed and there's only 3 Star Wars movies, but I just wish they could have done something different. There was so much potential and I didn't see it executed in those 6 films. So whatever. More people got to experience the Star Wars saga by those films coming out. And I'm okay with that. So that brings us to Star Wars Day. I'm a husband, I have a wife, I have 2 little boys, and I get to decide how our family celebrates, what our family does. And I decided, with my wife's support as well, of course, that our family is going to have an extra holiday that some families don't. And that holiday is May 4th, Star Wars Day. So what do we do on Star Wars Day? Well, my wife makes like a fun meal. One year she made Chewbacca chili and Master Yoda muffins, like the alliteration there. And the muffins were green and the chili, it's like brown, like Chewbacca, I guess. But it was good and it was fun. And we throw on a Star Wars movie. And I always get the boys. I have two boys. I get the boys like a little toy, some sort of Star Wars toy. And this year I kind of went haywire because I found a bunch of Star Wars toys like 50% off a couple months ago. So I put them in the storage. So they're going to get a lot this year, including a little Lego sets. And we're going to put together a Lego set, watch a movie, eat some good food and just kind of play around. And there's the annual flying around the living room where I take the boys, turn on the Star Wars theme song. You guys know what I'm talking about, the theme song. And I fly them through the living room, pretending that they're an X-Fighter or the Millennium Falcon or something like that. And, we do the Red 5 standing by, we're going in, and I bring the boy in, we fly around, and it's fun. It's fun. It's something I've done since my oldest boy was a baby. So that brings us to this moment where we talk about what can we do as gamer dads? What does the gamer dad do during Star Wars Day? And this is my suggestion. Of course, there's a slew of Star Wars games out there. My personal favorite from my past was the 1980s Star Wars arcade, where you have the X-Wing fighter steering wheel, and that thing's amazing. I always want to buy the arcade 1-up version of that, but I can't rationally decide to spend $400 to $600 for that. Okay. But it just seems so awesome. So that's probably my favorite Star Wars game of all times. But my favorite game to play as a dad is the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. And if you haven't played that game, check it out. It is a blast. It's family friendly. It's actually funny. It's a funny game. I don't know how many games I've played in my life that are actually funny, that make you laugh out loud. There's so many little jokes and little Easter eggs in that, with the dialogue and, about who shot first. And there's so many others. And if you want to, there's a mode called the mumble mode where the characters don't talk. They just mumble all their lines, which seems ridiculous, but it's hilarious to see them do that. So, you have all those options. It's a fun game to play because you get to unlock characters that are playable. You get to unlock ships. You get to do all types of cool stuff. Recently, I just beat or played through, might be a better term because it's not challenging. I just played through A New Hope, and I'm starting Empire Strikes Back right now. So I play it on my Nintendo Switch, even though I have it on my PlayStation 5 and I have a PlayStation 5 Pro. But the Nintendo Switch, it doesn't look that great. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? I'm a Switch fan, but it doesn't look that great on the Switch compared to the PlayStation 5 Pro. Of course, right? And a lot of people don't play Lego games for the graphics, but I'm going to tell you this. The graphics on Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga on the PlayStation 5 Pro look amazing. They look amazing. So just to know that, even though it's a Lego game, it looks amazing. So I play on my Switch. Hopefully when the Switch 2 comes out, there will be like an enhanced version or some upgrade or something like that. But if not, it's still a fun game to play on the Switch. I like to play it on the go, and it's just an all-around neat, fun game. And of course, I like Legos. I grew up playing Legos. I grew up watching Star Wars. So for me, Lego Star Wars, it's just fitting. It has all 9 movies on there that you can play through. I'm not for sure if I'll play through the prequels and the posts, but I know I'm going to play through the 3 original Star Wars movies. So yeah, it's a cool game. So if you're looking for a fun game to play on Star Wars Day as a gaming dad, that's the game that I would recommend. So now some people that may seem kind of weird to play a Star Wars video game on May 4th or have a Star Wars celebration on May 4th, but hey, this is my family and we get to have the traditions that we choose to have. And I think that's a fun one. I think it's wholesome. I think it's neat. I think it's a great way to make memories. And shoot, someday when I'm super old or dead and gone, I want my kids to be able to think back and be like, man, May 4th was fun. My dad made it fun. My mom made it fun. We got to celebrate Star Wars. And at the time I thought everyone did it, but it was really just him and a few other people. But it is growing. It is growing. More and more people are starting to celebrate Star Wars Day on May 4th. So Yeah. And video games are fun. Let's have good memories with them. Let's use them to build memories, not take away from opportunities to build memories. And that's a game I would suggest. Now, I'm curious, are there any games out there that you prefer that are specifically Star Wars games to play during May 4th or Star Wars Day? Are there any? I mean, I know there's some other really good Star Wars games. I played Star Wars games from the original NES to the Super Nintendo and on to the Battlefront games. So which ones do you prefer, or what is the one that you would recommend me or someone like me to play? So anyways, that is it for today's Star Wars Day themed episode here at the Dr. Blue Duck podcast, a gaming podcast for dads like you and me, to encourage us to build a community for dads like us who like to game together. And yeah, how should I end this? Oh, of course, May the 4th be with you.